Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with money mindset mentor Linda Grizely. She is passionate about guiding women through the transformative journey. In a career as a financial planner, she has witnessed clients facing self-imposed obstacles that hindered their financial growth. Many times, she found herself thinking if only they could break free from these internal barriers, or more realistically, they need to get out of their own way. Reflecting on this, Linda thought about her own experiences with money. Growing up in a lower middle class household, she inherited a scarcity mindset. We cover her philosophy and so much more. Enjoy.
It's great to meet you, and I want to begin our conversation before we get into your work by asking you, you look at the calendar now, 4 years ago, everything stopped on a dime, and I'm curious, how did you survive the pandemic, and how did it change you?
I survived. Our household didn't change very much during the pandemic because we were all still working. We were all going to our jobs. And one of the things, though, that it did, it allowed me to work from home. And I happened to be moving in the middle of the pandemic, so that was fantastic because it allowed me to get unpacked and move things and have some more personal time than I would normally have had. So that was the interesting part, is it was kind of a blessing in disguise for me. And then not only that, but I'm a goer and a doer and a networker and a people person. And I was constantly going. And it took the pandemic for me to realize that I really actually needed to step back and not be so go all the time and spend more time at home. So it changed me in that sense, that I'm not, feeling like I need to be somewhere doing something every day.
So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do as a professional. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day. And one of the curious kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
So I help people with their money. I do what's called financial planning, and it looks at your money, not just how much money you have, but what you're going to do with that money now and what you're going to do with that money later. And then I also help people understand why they make their choices with their money and understand what the underlying reasons are, like what their parents have taught them or what they believe by what they've seen.
So when you were in that position in the third grade, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Gosh, third grade, I changed what I wanted to be a lot. I don't think I had any vision for my future in third grade. I think I was just living my days one at a time.
That's good. That's what you should do when you're a kid. You should enjoy not having any bills and to float around from dream to dream. That's a great way to do it. So I'm curious, take me back to your childhood, and how did these seeds of being fascinated with, money and finance and helping people, how did all of these get planted into you to grow into you and your career today?
Yeah, so the helping people thing has been with me my whole entire life. Even from like a youngest age, I always wanted to help people, and I always had this like deep connection to other people's feelings, where I could see things that other people couldn't about what people were feeling. And I don't mean see in the literal sense like I could see it, but feel it. I could sense that there was something going on. So I really connect with people in that sense. And you asked me what I wanted to be when I was in third grade, and I said I didn't know anything. But when I was like a younger even, I wanted to be a nurse. My aunt was a nurse, and I felt like I could really help people as a nurse. As I got older, I realized that nursing was not going to be for me because I have a really easy gag reflex. So nursing was not going to be the way I was going to go. But I always knew I wanted to help people. And at one point in my life, I was transitioning careers, and I was looking at going into the nonprofit world because I thought that was the best way to help the most people, to have the biggest impact, would be to work for a nonprofit where I could, help all these people at the same time. But during that journey is when I got switched over into financial planning, and it was through a course that I was taking that had to do with planning and legacy planning and philanthropy and financial planning. And that's how I made the switch over to financial planning. And realized that I can help people a lot because so many people stress over money, and understanding their money is something that really just puts them at ease. And so I'm helping people in that sense.
So who's been a hero, an inspiration for you in your life?
You know, my father, I always say my father is the one who taught me the joy of giving. And I have a specific story around that if you'd like to hear it.
Oh, please, yes. Okay,
so when I was in middle school, I wanted a pair of roller skates. And the roller skates were $65. And I worked and did jobs around the house. And I earned my money and I saved my $65 to buy my roller skates. And I had this best friend, and I was not, my family was not well off, so don't, you know, I was not in a rich family or anything, but my friend was less well off than I was, and she didn't even have the opportunity to earn money from her parents, like to do jobs or anything like that. She just lived in a different type of household. But my dad just bought her a pair of roller skates, and I hadn't really thought about why he did it. And I was kind of like, well, I just worked my butt off to get these roller skates, and now you're just buying her a pair. But he's the one who made me realize that she didn't have the same opportunity that I had. And it made him really happy to give those roller skates to my friend so that she could have the same opportunity that I did to have roller skates. And that's where it opened my eyes to like the bigger picture, the bigger picture.
That's a great story. And, you know, it's weird how I remember my dad when I was a kid, he was really good about giving, donating to charity, and we really didn't have the money to do it. And I always found that pretty magnanimous. I mean, when you can find those acts of altruism with those that are closest to you, it's pretty big.
Yeah, definitely. And as time went on, I went through different phases of my life, phases where I didn't have any money and phases where I had more money. And I've always tried to give back in some way, sometimes financially, sometimes with my time. But I'm always looking to see how I can help people.
So let me ask you this. If you could meet one person alive on the planet right now that you find fascinating, who would it be? Who would you love to meet and talk to?
Oh my gosh. I don't have an answer.
That's fine. That's an answer in itself.
I really don't have an answer. I just, I have like I don't know. Move on from that question.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to do. Yeah. So let me ask you this. You're obviously highly driven in your life. You're helping people. What is the motivation for you to wake up every day, to do the work that you do for others to help, and also evolve as a human yourself?
So I am truly empowered myself by empowering other people, especially women. When I take women through transformational change and I see them become confident, see them, realize that they can do something that they didn't think that they can do, that's what drives me. Lifting other people up. And I think that part of it comes from the fact that I didn't really have any great role models when I was growing up, other than my father, but nobody that was really a mentor to me. And it was something that I was always striving for but couldn't find. And so I want to be that person for everybody else. I want to be that person who helps them and teaches them what I've learned so that they can get ahead.
So let me ask you this. You have to give out good advice to clients. What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
I would say probably just think bigger. Believe in yourself and think bigger. We all have such limiting beliefs, and believe me, I've overcome my fair share of limiting beliefs, and I'm sure I still have them. But just thinking bigger and realizing that you can really do so much more than you think you can.
So let me ask you this. Of all of the clients that you've helped, what's your best favorite client success story?
it was helping someone actually going through a career change who was making way less money than they were worth, but never realized that they were worth more, and helping them get through the idea that they could almost double their salary in their negotiations from moving from one position to another. And seeing them get through that, struggle through that, because they were dealing with their own, lack of self-confidence to get there, getting them to believe it and actually seeing it come to fruition. And it changed their life because they're a single mother, and being able to feel like they could support their own family and support herself and her kids was huge, because it really did completely change her life. And I think that her outlook was much different after that.
So of all of the things that you've done in your life up to this point, what are you the proudest of?
Nobody's ever asked me that before. Honestly, what came into my head is I had my first child when I was 16, turned 17 2 weeks after, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of raising her. I'm proud of doing it and just being strong and working through all the challenges that I had. There were a lot of challenges that went along with that. Just people's perceptions of you, perceptions of her, things, just obstacles in the way. Obviously, financial, growing up kind of at the same time, but I'm really proud of that.
So speaking of 16, if you could go back, if you had a dream tonight and you could run into that 16-year-old version of you, and you could give advice to that version of you based on the life you've led, the wisdom you've gained, what advice would you give that young version of you?
Realize your own worth. Realize your own worth and fight for it, right? I mean, I worked hard. I worked multiple jobs at times. I was always doing some side gig. And looking back, I probably could have just, if I would have had the confidence in myself, just gotten a position that paid the same as like the 3 jobs I was working, because I had the knowledge, I had the drive, I had the personality, I had the brains, I had everything that I needed, except for I had the self-doubt.
So dealing with, helping people through financial matters and getting to a better place, what is, as an expert in that, what is one of the most common mistakes that you see clients make? Well,
funny you should ask, because that's the reason I actually have 2 business lines. So I have the financial planning line, but then I also have a business called Mindset and Money, which is all about your money mindset. And that is the biggest mistake that I see clients make, which is why I started the separate business. So what I do there is I help women overcome their limiting beliefs in regard to money. And it's understanding your money story, which is what you've learned over your lifetime. What you saw with your parents and their money story, what you were taught about money, how you saw like other people in your life struggle, the people that were around you, jobs that you've had, people telling you what you're worth and what you're not worth, and all of that stuff that gets in our heads. And so that is the biggest challenge, and that is why I set out on a separate journey, just to help people solely with their mindset and not even necessarily their finances.
So everyone out there has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, but ultimately you run the show. You're in control. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I'm just a regular person who wants to help people and has some knowledge that I've gained over my life experiences, whether it be education or personal experience or work experience, things that I've learned that I would love to share to help people. And I think that's it. I mean, I don't think that I'm any more than that.
So if anyone wants to reach out, hire you, learn more about you, anything about your world, Linda, where do they go?
I would send them to mindsetandmoney.com, which is my website. So it's mindsetandmoney.com.
Excellent. This has been wonderful, Linda. Thank you so much for taking time out. Thank you for your story. Best of luck with everything.
Thanks, Joe. You too.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. Our esteemed theme music was composed and produced by the great E.E. Pointer of Kansas City's River Cow Orchestra. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.